Hey everybody, this is Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. What is a fully developed claim and why do you want one? Let's talk about it. So a fully developed claim, or a FDC, as you'll sometimes see it written, I don't think anybody says it that way, is basically a claim that you submit to the VA for disability rating that has everything in it that they need in order to adjudicate your claim. So here's what I mean. You can file a claim and simply say, my name is the salty old Marine, and I am filing a disability claim for IBS. I'm filing a claim for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, great. You can do that and then just send it off. That's going to be a hard claim to win because it's missing a lot of information. And that's where the fully developed claim comes in. So as we've talked about before, as you've seen other places on YouTube land, and it is absolutely correct, in order to have a successful claim, you need to have an in-service event. You need to have a current diagnosis. You need to have a link, or a nexus as it's called, in between the two that ties the current diagnosis to the in-service event. If you can provide all of that information, and then some, you'll be providing what's called a fully developed claim. And I'm going to explain first what it is, and second, why you want one. So let's go back to this whole IBS thing, irritable bowel syndrome. So let's assume that you're filing a claim for IBS. If you can provide your military records, your service treatment records, STR, that show you were diagnosed while you were in the service with IBS, right? There's your in-service event. So you would upload that with your claim to the VA portal, or you would give it to the VSO when you file your claim, or you would mail it in if you're mailing in your claim. But you're providing it. So that's one leg of that particular three-legged stool, right? The second is a current diagnosis. So assuming you have IBS and you're claiming IBS, it should mean you've been to see a doctor, a gastroenterologist, for example, and that gastroenterologist has run some tests or asked some questions, and in their medical opinion, they have said, I agree, salty old Marine, you have IBS, and probably they've given you some treatment to go along with it. So you have a diagnosis, you have a current treatment. Maybe you're on medication, maybe whatever. But in any case, you now have two legs of that stool. So you have the in-service event, you have the current diagnosis, and you submit those with your claim. What else do you need? Well, technically, you don't need anything. You can just submit your claim, as we mentioned, right? But if you want to help your claim along, if you want to make it easy for the VA to find in your favor, you want to submit that fully developed claim. And we're not quite there yet. So what else might be included in a fully developed claim? Well, for example, a personal statement. So this is a form you can download from the web and fill out and upload to the VA portal or give to your VSO or mail in. You fill it out. It's a sworn statement basically saying, I've got IBS and here's how it affects me and here's how it occurred while I was in the military and this is what impact it has on me on a day-to-day basis. This is how it affects my social life, my family life, my ability to earn a living. This is how severe it is. This is the medication that I have to take for it on a daily basis or whatever it is you're doing. All of those things go into your personal statement and that gets uploaded. In addition to that, if you've got any friends, people you served with at the time, or if you were married at the time, your spouse, or anything like that, right? Anybody who can speak to the IBS that you were suffering while you were in the military, or your continuity of symptoms, you've been treated all along, any of that information can be put into a buddy letter, right? So that would be a sworn statement that a friend or a spouse or someone along those lines who has direct information about your IBS and is willing to swear to it in a statement can just write it down. There's a form for it you can download off the web, or you can just honestly, write it down on a piece of paper and get it signed and notarized. You're just basically swearing that this is true. And that would get uploaded as well. Again, you would upload that to the VA portal, or you would give it to your VSO, or you would mail it in. So that's some additional information. And then finally, the last leg of that, well, actually, there's one more thing. You might submit logs. We talked about keeping a journal, a diary, a log of your symptoms and the severity and what you did when you had those things, right? So if you have that, and you should, then you would upload that as well. That's going to help the VA out as well. So last thing would be the nexus, that connection between your in-service event and your current diagnosis. So if your doctor is willing to write a letter saying it's at least as likely as not that your current IBS was caused by the IBS you were diagnosed with while you were in the military, that is called a nexus letter, and that would be submitted as well. If your doctor will not or cannot submit or write a nexus letter, then you can ask them if they would fill out at least a disability questionnaire, a DBQ. You can download those off the web as well. They come right off the VA's website. You give it to your doctor. They fill it out. They sign it. You include that along with your claim. And if you go out and purchase a nexus letter, assuming your doctor won't write you one, there's a lot of places where you can get a nexus letter online. Reputable professionals, medical professionals who have specialization in those fields, who are willing to review your records and write that diagnosis or write that nexus letter stating that in their medical opinion, it is at least as likely as not that your current diagnosis is related to your military service, right? So you get that done, you include that as well. And what you have at this point is a fully developed claim, FDC. Now, that's a fair amount of work, right? But let's think about it. This is an investment in you. Your goal is to get a VA disability rating. Otherwise, why would you be filing for it? So anything you can do to make the VA's job easier, to help them diagnose you correctly and rate you correctly, for 50% or 70% or 10% or whatever it is, right? The goal, of course, is to be correctly rated, correctly diagnosed, and service-connected. And if you can do anything to help that happen, that is a good thing. And the VA appreciates that to the extent that, as of recent days, and this is new, as I understand it, it is possible, not guaranteed, but possible, that if you can submit a fully developed claim, it's an actionable claim, something they can look at and it has everything they need to make a decision, they may choose to skip the CNP exam, the compensation and pension exam. That would be an exam that you would have to attend either via video link or in person with a VA specialist or a third-party specialist that the VA hires, who would basically do that for you. They fill out a DBQ, they write a nexus, and they submit that to the VA. The downside of a CNP exam is, although they will do those things, you don't get to see what it is they wrote. You don't get to see what they said. If they disagreed with you and said it's less likely as not that this is related to this, well, then that's what the VA rater is going to see. However, again, as of recent days, if you submit that fully developed, actionable claim, you may be able to skip that CNP exam, and they'll simply rate you based on what you have submitted. Now, I have some experience in this, and it's recent. I submitted a sleep apnea claim, secondary to PTSD, and I used weight gain as an intermediate step. I submitted all those things we just talked about, including a nexus letter. They all went into the VA portal with my claim. Less than a month later, I am in step 5 rating, and I have not had a CNP exam. I did have something called an ACE review, which is simply where the person who would have done the CNP exam simply does a paper check. They just went through my documentation that I had submitted, and supposedly they submitted their own, perhaps DBQ, Nexus, whatever, but they didn't have to talk to me to do it. And I have given them sufficient and actionable information to just go straight to a decision. And it's actually looking like that's what might happen. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be hearing, and I hope it's a positive decision. I'll talk about it either way, but I hope it's a positive decision rating my sleep apnea as being secondary to my PTSD and therefore service connected. And of course, I hope to be properly rated for that as well. So this is the value of a fully developed claim. It can help your claim go faster. It can help you avoid a C&P exam, potentially. And it's really doing everything the VA needs. They're going to have to get that information to prove or disprove your claim, one way or another. If you can provide it up front in an actionable format, you're doing all the work and they're willing to act on it. So consider submitting a fully developed claim whenever you submit a VA disability claim. I hope you found this helpful. This is Bill. I am the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hire a skywriter, take out an ad in the paper. Are there even papers anymore? Well, you know what I mean. And as always, have a great day.